Hephaestus and the modern man, forging the soul in an age of rejection. The myth of Hephaestus does not begin with Olympian splendor, but with the trauma of a fall. Unlike the other gods born of perfection, Hephaestus is the only one who carries the mark of physical imperfection and primordial rejection. When we translate this image to the modern man, we find a mirror of a society that demands aesthetic perfection and immediate success. Today's man often feels like the fallen god, someone who doesn't fit the alpha molds of fitness or status, carrying emotional wounds from a childhood of high expectations, struggling with the sensation of being an outsider in his own world. Hephaestus is the archetype of the one excluded from the party of the privileged, who, instead of drowning in self-pity, finds the heat of his own internal forge within his isolation. The relationship between myth and modernity becomes clear when we observe Hephaestus's workshop in the depths of Mount Etna. While the other gods occupy themselves with wars and pleasures, Hephaestus is immersed in labor. For the contemporary man, work often serves as an escape, but in the symbolism of Hephaestus, it is a pathway to healing. The volcanic fire represents intense emotions, the anger of rejection, and the sting of abandonment, which, if not directed into creation, would destroy the individual. The modern man who dedicates himself to a craft, a technical skill, or complex problem solving is performing a process of psychic alchemy, transforming the base metal of his traumas into jewels of competence and social value. A sensitive point of connection between this god and the man of today lies in the quest for recognition through utility. Hephaestus becomes indispensable to Olympus not because of his lineage, but because of his technical intelligence. He forges Zeus's thunderbolts, Hermes's winged sandals, and Achilles's armor. In the current world, men often try to compensate for emotional insecurities by becoming the technical provider, the one who fixes every problem but remains invisible in his essence. The risk here is the utility trap, being loved only for what one does, rather than who one is. The myth warns us that while mastery brings respect, the fire of the forge can burn the heart if the craftsman forgets to tend to his own wounded humanity. The relationship of Hephaestus with love and betrayal, symbolized by his marriage to Aphrodite and her infidelity with Ares, echoes deeply within the 21st century crises of masculinity. Hephaestus represents the devoted but insecure man who tries to buy or guarantee affection through stability and gifts, while the soul, represented by Aphrodite, often seeks the raw, instinctive passion of Ares. The symbolism of the invisible net Hephaestus builds to catch the lovers shows the darker side of the modern man, the need for control, technological surveillance, and the silent resentment of one who feels overlooked despite all his effort and dedication. Ultimately, Hephaestus's redemption and his lesson for the modern man are found not in revenge, but in final sublimation. He is the god who learns to walk alongside his own difficulties, creating golden handmaidens to assist him, an ancient metaphor for technology that augments human capability. The man who integrates the Hephaestus archetype understands that his wound is not a mistake, but the very source of his uniqueness. By accepting that he may never be an Ares or an Apollo, he discovers that his strength lies in the resilience of turning the fire of suffering into works that endure. The myth teaches us that the purpose of life is not the absence of scars, but the beauty of the pieces we are capable of forging while we walk, even with a limp, toward our own mastery.